This is Mnemosyne, a browser-based role-playing game I've been working on for a little bit. Thanks to a handful of people play testing and also just my own kind of messing around, I found a handful of bugs and trying to clean them up. As I do some of these quests, I'll try to reproduce the bugs, but I want to see a few things. First off, one bug was like when I would get into combat, I would see the NPCs that I'd fight against. They'd be using attacks that are short range, but like from 8 squares away. And I think I fixed that one. It looks like that's the case because one of them was really a lot of the NPCs were doing this, but the slime here and the crab would both attack from like across the map, basically. And they should have to run up right to me. The other thing with the AI for these mobs is they were really not aggressive, and you can see right now the slime is kind of still doing that, where it's just randomly moving around instead of heading my direction. I'm trying to improve that a little bit to where they'll actually close the distance. And it looks like I still need to tweak that a little bit. So you can see over here, like the slime has energy to move and can move a few spaces per turn, and they're just kind of sliding around randomly. The other thing I want to do is I want to finish this quest and get, after I finish it, I can get kind of my own companion NPC, and there's some bugs with them that I want to see if I squashed as well. Let's see if the slime closes the distance here. Okay. I missed. There we go. So I beat him. I finished the quest. I got a bunch of nice stuff. I'm going to go and essentially turn it in to this guy. So that quest, so I finished this, basically kill some monsters, and I can use that to turn in this other quest, because I made nice with the rat faction. None of this is exactly buggy, but it's a prerequisite to be able to recruit NPCs from the frogs. I'm going to talk to this guy. So I recruited a frog follower. You can see he's kind of following me around the map. And where I got into trouble with bug was, oh, something crashed here. Let me check that out. Oh, interesting. All right, so that's new. So it's trying to read a team object and see if there are any truces pending. So you can kind of do these ad hoc alliances. They must. This is not great because like this shouldn't be able to happen. They must be running this and checking it before anyone is added to a team. This might be something I introduced on accident recently. So I want to at least prevent it from crashing and log what's going on exactly. Because as it is, I don't know um, what NPC this was happening to or any of the other kind of context around this. All right. So let's try that again. That's not the error I was trying to do, but there were some issues related to fleeing. Like if you fled and you had a follower, they would not flee with you. They would usually end up dying, and there were some other bugs around that. And so I added the ability for NPCs to flee from combat if they had low health or if they were following someone and the person they were following had fled. Um, if either of those situations happen, they should prioritize running away. So we'll see if that happened and if it's working as expected. One sec. Business for a little bit. We've got our follower. I'm going to try to get into a fight here and then run away and see what happens. Right, first off, there should not be a broken image here. That's not great. And my follower didn't enter combat with me, so that seems pretty broken right off the bat. Yeah, he's not getting put on a team, so that's a problem. It's just blasting out no team found over and over. So that's where that bug came from. I think that I think what happened is I've got some code around handling incoming players and NPCs. I tried to prioritize it so that if you're part of a party of some kind, if you're following someone or being followed, you get grouped together. Sometimes before this wasn't happening correctly, and so they could put on a team by themselves. Like you'd have an NPC follower, but they're on their own team. You're on your own team. You could, if you're not careful, end up attacking them and making them hostile to you, or vice versa. Anyway, we can see here in the logs that's no longer happening, but instead this guy's just not being put on a team at all, which is not great. And I think that's because I added this here to check for party, and it's not doing that correctly. Shoot, how do I? Yeah, so if this combatant is following someone, we should add them. Yeah, let me add this warning here because we don't have that. So let me see if adding artist. Yeah, so we're trying to add them and it's not working, and should work. Like this should add the person. So what is it? We're trying to add um, Frog Squire to Clem's team. We're calling this, we're returning true. So this should set up their controller, create a participant object for them, and push them to that list of participants. Don't see why that wouldn't work. And change this to a warn level as well and try to figure out why that's happening. One more thread I want to kind of tackle is the return value before. Yeah, so we're checking for the party was added to party. This should return true. If it was, then we try to find the participant and return it. So that's all good. This makes sense. I guess I can add that and just make sure that it gets gotten appropriately. Just going to do that here. All right, so let's go back to where add NPC newcomer was called. And yeah, so this is called when things start. And we do check for the party. Is there anywhere else that it's called? Maybe outside of this file. Doesn't look like it. It's in these two spots. So combat start, and then generic add newcomer, which happens when someone joins later. Both are calling it and checking for a party, which is a recent addition, I guess. Yeah, so I wonder what's going on there. Where is this no team found coming from? No team found for such and such versus let's see, Yeah, so this must be like happening somewhere. It's being called from somewhere. And after it, so looking at the logs here, we should have added, where is it? Rockswire, he's attacking, we're setting this up, should be added to this team. He's not. So this call's getting made, and he's not part of the team for whatever reason, and that is a problem. Um, is this somehow getting called? I mean, team should be string. I remember it being called there. But then I wonder if it's like getting set to undefined somehow after. That doesn't make sense, but I guess it's possible. I'm gonna look at where this could be called and put logs there. That doesn't seem likely because this is the when someone dies. This is the check for enemies. Um, hmm, that is probably the most likely scenario. Is that it's somewhere in combat map where it's filtering out enemies versus teammates. Frustrating. See if there's anywhere the team is being set. I guess change participant team is potentially being called. Then there's the constructor for participant where we know it's probably being set correctly. Then there's team.add. Um, and that is probably doing what we'd expect it. Well, I can add a warn here since we're using that log level. Yeah, I never closed the server or left combat, so I might have been killed. I guess we'll see. Um, yeah, so we can see if this is getting called and adding someone to a team. Which doesn't seem likely if the team is ending up undefined. And then there's what? Change participant team. Yeah, this doesn't seem like a good idea. I mean, there's a warn here already, and that's not being used, right? And no results. Is this called anywhere? No. So maybe like a deprecated tag here. Maybe I'll remove it. It's where we left off at. This is a nothing burger. We've got like 3 places where the team is probably getting changed. Um, Last little thread here. There's the check for his same team. That's using this get team key thing. Oh, and that gets the team key from their combat data. So maybe that's not getting set properly. Uh, hmm. So we have combat controller. What are we looking at? Try add party, right? That adds the participant to this team. By creating the participants. What I'm going to guess is like, yeah, okay. Uh, yeah, in every other spot, it must be that this is like already set up at character to team. Probably that's what has to get called. Um, then team.add sets that. Yeah, so that's what's missing here. Um, we don't just add the participant. Where is it at? We don't just add the participant. So we're keeping track of like some extra. This probably needs to be cleaned up because like we're keeping track of some metadata around a character who's participating in combat in this class called combat participant. And then we're also keeping track of it, some of it just like in a property on the character that's an object that's called combat data. Um, and really maybe like participant, like those should maybe be merged a little bit, um, so that you don't have to do both of these things. Or should it be like control? What was the character in a team? Yeah, so maybe it would be nice to I don't know. I don't know how to describe that need, but it feels like there's um, things maybe aren't categorized or compartmentalized correctly or unified the way they should be. Anyway, let's test this out, and then I'd like to get my day going after that. Um, cool. So we got that set up. Yeah. So I was killed while AFK, just hanging out. It actually it looks like eventually my own follower killed me. Again, like if they end up on their own team for whatever reason, they're just doing whatever. And that might mean they go rogue and they're attacking you and everyone around you, um, not just their enemies. So let's start over again. I'm going to reuse a character name because I have so many on this test account. That didn't work. Oops. Oh well. I clicked the wrong button. Could probably make that friendlier. Okay, so starting over, I'm going to do a quick run through of this kind of tutorial area. This needs another pass probably, but I can also recruit from here, so I don't have to redo all those quests. I can just kind of recruit this guy, this little floating droid, and travel to this area. I'm not going to bother with any of the quests. I'm just going to run here and attack one of these trash mobs. There we go. So I ended up on the right team with the guy and vice versa. So that's great. Um, Nothing looking too problematic here. Yeah, so this all looks fine. It's very noisy, but people are being added to the correct teams. Teams Sparty. So that looks like it's fixed now. What I need to test out now is if I move to the edge of the map and I try to flee, does my follower also try to flee, or do they just stay and get killed? Okay, so it looks like something. Oh no, that worked. So I'm able to flee. Um, I can tell by this skull here that there's still combat going on. I don't have any insight into it unless I look at the server logs. Um, wow, okay. So they died. Did they try to leave the map? No. They actually kept trying to fight and then they got killed. This is kind of not exactly a bug, I think, um, but we should have some kind of affordance now for NPCs who are following you to at least try to flee. And I don't know that I'm seeing that happening. Um, they actually ran out of energy, so they couldn't move. That might be part of the problem. So I kind of just abandoned this guy to die. So that's a bummer. I mean, I get some experience for it, but it's not exactly a bug as much as it is like doesn't feel great to have that happen. Um, we can look at the NPC AI, whoops, like brain here. For fleeing. Probably want it to be like pretty high priority if the leader left combat. Um, I don't know, maybe I don't want it to do that. So that would kind of counteract this. See, I mean, I think generally, like if the leader leaves combat and they have um, some health left, maybe they won't flee, but like probably still want them to try to. That should make it take precedent over most other stuff. Where's the move to edge? So yeah, here if they have low health, we want them to try to do that. And if the leader left combat, we really want them to try to do that. There's some stuff that'll offset that, where like if they are close to an enemy that they can do a lot of damage to, they might still try to do that. Um, they might like get some opportunistic attacks in. What else do we have here? Moving towards enemy, we want to maybe prioritize that a little higher. Um, versus just moving randomly. Okay, that's good. We're making progress. Let me commit this. Fix issue with TV not happening correctly with AI for movement and the cool. I'm going to restart here. And I guess I'll have to have a new character just to easily get a follower. See, I got a lot of characters. I'm just going to delete one. If I want to reuse a name, I got to click use here. So that's not ideal. Here we go. Let me go talk to him. Let me recruit this follower. Travel. And let's go get into a fight. I'm going to go pick on this crab. Cool. So we're on the correct team. I am going to go ahead and, actually I'm going to see what happens here first. Oh, it crashes. Well, that's bad. This might be this is happening deep in pathfinding code, which is not great, but it might be because of a fix that I made to how do I put this? Okay, so it's in find path to edge, which is new. And it calls this dot find path trying to find a path to the edge of the grid for the sake of fleeing or whatever else. Something bad happens, basically, and it's undefined. And that, I don't know why that's happening. It's not great. Um, Get adjacent map edges doesn't exist because I haven't finished this out yet. Hmm. Yeah, so should get whatever edges are closest. If there aren't any, returns an empty path. If there are, it should pick one at random, try to find a path to it, and apparently that sometimes will fail with an error in the pathfinding code. If that happens, we'll just return an empty path and log it. I don't know why this would be happening because it's not with other kind of pathfinding things, but maybe I haven't touched this code in a long, long time until today, like earlier today, and I might just be using it wrong. Yeah, it's calling finder.findPath, which is this A star function. Um, and that's throwing, so it's never making it here. Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if I could look at the source code here. It's calling grid.getNodeAt, and it must be like an x of 5 or something. Yeah, that's just assuming that it's all defined, and it must not be. So maybe there's a way I can log out this grid if that happens. That might help me debug it, but I don't feel great about the fact that this is happening at all. Interesting. So this checks adjacent cells up to a certain range, um, and considers it a map edge whenever there's not a cell in a specific direction. This might be a problem if the range is greater than 1. Yeah, I think I might do this differently and have the adjacent check only go like the 1, and then I might have something similar that's like find closest map edge. And that'll be, x or range. What this will do is it will just go adjacent cells up to range. It'll go until it finds the first one, right? And so find, find path to edge. We'll have find path to edge use this. We'll have use both actually. It's a little messy, but it'll see if there's any adjacent, and then if there's not, it'll try to find the closest, and then if that fails, then it really fails. Maybe I'll just have it pick randomly. So it may be picking from picking randomly from an array of one, but still. Okay, well, at the very least, we'll get more info about what's going wrong if this goes wrong. Good thing I'm doing this. Testing. Okay, so there's an error here with types. Server is still booting up. Log in some data. There we go. Gray 2. I still have my recruit according to this. And here we are. Cool. Okay, let's go and pick on someone. And it broke. So that's coming from find path to edge. Huh. So this should be an array. This should end up being an array. Oh, okay. I think what was happening is it was getting to this point, and it was actually just instead of being like an array of coordinates, I think it was just like that. And so we were picking this at random. We were picking from this at random, and it was returning x, which is a number, and then it was trying to destructure that, and it was blowing up. And that's why we got the not iterable error. Okay. Whoops. I got a few minutes before I have to head out, so let's test this one last time, and regardless of the results, I'm going to call it a day, or at least a day for the next couple hours. So let's see if we're on the right team. The enemy mob does close the distance to me, which is what we want to see. I'm going to flee, and I'm going to see what my teammate does. So my teammate's closing the distance to the enemy. I'm fleeing. I managed to get away. My teammate's killed. Okay, so they're still not being very smart about getting away. Let's stop the server, read the logs really quick, and see if they're at least trying to. Yeah, so I fled, I flewed, and died. Yeah, they took some damage. They were killed. They did end their turn without taking any actions, which is an issue I've had with the AI at some points. They did try to move to the edge, and they didn't find an edge. So this is something that I'm going to have to work on. No edges. They are deciding to try to flee. They're hitting this issue. They're just not finding an edge within range. Oh, you know what? I messed up and I didn't pass in a range, so it's doing range of 1. And I need to do like a range of 10, which is the whole map. It'll just find the closest and they'll move towards it. Yeah, and so that's an issue, but that should fix it. And I think that's a good sign that the decision making is working out really heavily in favor of them trying to flee. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in. If you did, pop in. Great. Feel free to check out the game, check out the socials, and I'll see you next time.